Alright guys, we are live. Jason here as usual, and what we're going to run through is some ASL Action Packs. We'll get to the meat of the matter, which is the most recent release, but we're going to run through some of the ones that came before that and talk about the history of the Action Pack and some other things. So I'm going to bring you down here and we'll hop right to it. What I have before you is my collection of Action Packs, many of which I have been able to maintain the shrink. No reason for it. I mean, these have all been opened and filled with, but for some reason I like to try and hang on to the shrink. I think I like the sound or the feel of it. I don't know what's wrong with me. So most of you watching this are probably familiar with ASL in general and the Action Pack in particular, but for those of you that are a little less familiar, I'll do you the favor of explaining the Action Pack to you. So you might be asking yourself, what is an Action Pack? And basically an Action Pack really is just supplementary ASL material, typically consisting of scenarios and map boards. I think the average release rate of an Action Pack is running one, sometimes two a year, and they don't contain any counters or rules chapters, and we'll get to that in a second. If you have the basic ASL system, you pretty much have everything you need to play an Action Pack. And now there are some caveats to this, as a number of scenarios may require boards that aren't included in a pack, but as such it is assumed that you already own them. So I'm going to kind of flip through these, and this is Action Pack number 3. I don't own 1 or 2. More about that in a second, but a brief history of these guys. The Action Pack began as an idea during the M&P era between 96 and 98 at Avalon Hill, with the first Action Pack emerging in 97, which would be Action Pack 1, correct. It contained boards 42 and 43. It had 8 new scenarios. It also included a color-coded flow chart to help you through the somewhat complicated OBA section of Chapter C, OBA of course being off-board artillery. These days, Action Pack 1 can fetch as much as $125, which is ridiculous, even though you can download the scenarios for free if you hit the MMP website up. Now, as a side note, Action Pack 1 and 2 are in fact the only Action Packs I don't own. All the rest of them I've got here before you. So let me run through these here and get to the main Action Pack. Some of these Action Packs, let's see, have become synonymous with Oktoberfest. So if you'll notice, Action Pack 12 has Oktoberfest next to it, as does Action Pack 13, and the star of the hour, Action Pack 14, the most recent release, came out about a week or 2 ago. And what's an Oktoberfest doing in my Action Pack? Well, I'll tell you what. The ASL Oktoberfest is the largest ASL board gaming tournament anywhere, held each October in Greater Cleveland, Ohio. And 2019 marked the 34th tournament. Now, I've never been. Maybe someday I'll be able to go, but couldn't tell you what it's like. I'm sure it's fantastic. The Oktoberfest, otherwise known as ASLOK, with an acronym for you there, was started by Bill Fish, Connor, and Daryl Action Burke. A gentleman named Mark Nixon ran the tournament for many years with the able assistance of Wild Bill Hayward, and then turned it over to Brett Hildebrand, who I assume still runs it, though I'm not sure on that. Of note at ASLOK is the Grofats Prize tournament, the winner of which is basically ASL God for a year. And Grofats is the German soldiers' derogatory acronym for Grofter Feldherr aller Zeiten, a title initially publicized by German propaganda to refer to Adolf Hitler during the early war years. Literally, this translates into the greatest field commander of all time, and one should definitely take this as a tongue-in-cheek title. For those of you keeping score, last year was Steve Pleva's 11th Grofat's title victory, and this also continues his trend as most prolific recipient of that award. Anywho, with each coming of Oktoberfest, one can simultaneously anticipate the release of a coinciding action pack. And let me run through the back of this thing for you. Following on the success of the two previous ASL Oktoberfest packs, this one takes a deep dive into the battles in France, throughout Normandy and Brittany in the late spring and summer of '44. From D-Day to the Falaise Pocket to the Drive on Brest, these 12 scenarios explore the fierce fighting engaged in by the infantry, armor, and mechanized cavalry of the American, British, and Canadian forces, attacking and being counterattacked by a wide range of German defenders, primarily Fallschirmjäger and elite SS forces. The scenarios are created by veteran designer Pete Schelling, the name we'll come back to in a second, Bill Sizzler, and Ted Wilcox, and developed under the guidance of veteran playtesters and tournament directors Brett Hildebrand and Bill Hayward. Now, Pete Schelling is a long-time and prolific scenario designer who has produced a number of classic designs for a number of publishers, official and unofficial alike. He's had a fruitful relationship with Schwerpunkt, who over the years have published no fewer than 18 last count of his designs. I'm sure it's more than that now, making him the most prolific outside designer with whom Schwerpunkt's core group of designers and playtesters have had a relationship. So these scenarios will stretch your tactical knowledge, they say, and skills with many different situations. Bocage features heavily, but far from exclusively. There's one night paradrop scenario, which I am in particular very excited about. And one is an assault on a fortified gun battery, but none of the scenarios uses off-board artillery. Several scenarios feature combined arms on both sides, several more combined arms on only one side, and several are infantry only. Two new boards were designed specifically for this pack and feature significantly in its scenarios. Board 84 features a large hill mass next to a small village with many hedges, numerous orchards, and scattered woods, conveying a very claustrophobic rural terrain. And let's just head right in here. Board 84 is this. Your standard ASL board, really. I mean, there is a sizable hill, some stuff and whatnots, but nothing new and ground shaking here. Just more of the what's come to be expected in an ASL board. And then we have, on the other hand, board 12A/B, which features a large village with some stone buildings, partially surrounded by a board length gully, which is this here. Here is your board length gully, which I like. And we'll go orchards, grain fields, and hedges throughout. Now this is double-sided, so there's the other side of that. So there's a gully on both sides. Now, looks like it's the same board. See, they always throw me for a loop here. 12A, there's 12A. 12B, there's 12B. Looks to me to be the same stinking board, but printed on both sides. Not sure why, but that's how they did it. Both boards show off the skill of artist Charlie Keebler, who's anybody who's familiar with ASL, that name should not be unknown to you. And of course, with great boards and great scenarios, Action Pack 14 is sure to be a winner, they confidently say. Then we get to some scenarios. This is the back of the Action Pack. You get a pink piece of paper here, which is very important for those of you, and I've said this in the past, for those of you that are new to ASL, us veteran, well, I should say those that are seasoned aficionados of the game are very familiar with what this is used for in ASL. It's almost become vital to a number of things when you're playing, but For those of you that are new to the game, you'll learn about this soon enough. But the pink, essential pink sheet. And then we get to the scenarios proper. We've got, I'm just going to show them. I'm late for chow. Is there harm in doing this? I mean, really. The closer. And let's see, late for chow is, looks like, what is it, 7.5 turns? Closer is 6.5 turns. Closer taking place in France, as does late for chow. And then we have Curry's favor, also France, 6.5 turns. This is British and German. We have so we have 2 British and German and 1 American and German. Then there's Misty Morning Mayhem. I think it's 9.5 turns. That is also France. Something called Emergency Surgery. And something called Red Horse Recon. Now, if you look at these, so for instance, Emergency Surgery, it has boards 79 and 71. If you don't have these, you're not playing this scenario. Those boards are not included in this pack. And that is standard for these action packs. You will be able to play some of the scenarios, but majority of them, you're going to need pre-existing stuff. Fear not. Takes place in France, British and German, 7.5 turns, requires board 24 and 43, second to none. 7.5 turns, France, German and American, boards 72 and 84. Fuller's Folly, boards 84 and 85, 6 turns, German and American, and then it takes place in France as well, as do I guess all these take place in France. Death Takes a Toll, boards I, F, and K, 7.5 turns, British versus Germans. To the Hard Way, boards 3 and 66, 7 turns, American and German. Night of Nights, with an interesting board configuration setup. Now you've got 11A, 12A, 64, and 65. Interesting setup there, board configuration. So yeah, To the Hard Way, Night of Nights. Night of Nights is the night rules are in effect. Yeah, this is your parrot drop. So play this first. This is going to be awesome. Play Night of Nights first. That's going to be good stuff. And then it doesn't mention this that I remember on the back, but you get Hill 192 micro campaign game rules. Did you know that? You get a micro campaign game in here. What do you need for this? Now this connects. Let's see. Scenarios 135 and 136, both of which are, of course, included in this action pack. Now, that's your action pack 14. Quite a deal, in my opinion. And this, why do you need this thing? Why need any action pack? I guess, but if you have to ask that question, you might as well just kill this video. Why this one in particular? Well, you get a couple new boards. You get the board 12A/B, which has an interesting unconventional shape. You get 12 scenarios, and only 3 other action packs are packed with that many scenarios. That would be action packs 3, 4, and 5. I think all have 12 scenarios, but this one also has 12 scenarios. And then you get the Hill 192 micro campaign game. So can't go wrong with this action pack here. Also, I should reiterate, for those of you that don't like fiddling with armor, there's some infantry only scenarios in here. So there's something in here for everybody, really, in my opinion. And then you got the night paradrop scenario, which is, that alone is going to be awesome. So yeah, good stuff in here, and I think this retails for 32 bucks, but if you go to the M&P site right now, you can get it for 24, so there's another reason to grab it up. And you wait till it goes out of print. 10 years from now, you're going to be paying $3,000 for this. So just get it. You won't be sorry. And you'll be happy. It'll improve your life. All right, you guys, that's it. I'll talk to you next time, and have a good Halloween weekend.